Hello everybody, welcome to today's episode of ETA 5 Minutes. Gary, Indiana has always tried to find a way to relieve rail congestion within its city limits. Numerous plans and studies were conducted over 3 decades, and very little of suggestions or measures revealed to the city, state, and federal authorities, as well as the railroad corporations in play as a result of these studies were implemented. One of the most recent railroad-related ventures was the ill-fated 4-city consortium, which died in 2009. I will cover the consortium at a later time. Recently, the hype was real as a plan for developing an intermodal yard and port was discussed and supported in the Indiana General Assembly's Interim Study Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. This new venture will supposedly include the relocation of Gary's Majestic Star Casino from being a lakefront facility to an inland location. This casino move has been the subject of recent scrutiny and controversy, with other cities vying to be the one that obtains one of Gary's 2 casino licenses for inland casino development. All of this is in the preliminary stages of discussion. A new port and intermodal yard being built in Gary is not a new idea. Publicly available information from the internet regarding a new intermodal yard and port of some form goes back 22 years at least. In 1996, the city of Gary, under then-Mayor Thomas Barnes, conducted a study regarding converting Conrail's old Clarke Street yard, located along North Clarke Road, into an intermodal facility and transportation hub. The cost was estimated to be $70 million and would link with the then-called Gary Regional Airport, where a shipping industrial park will be built. Clarke Street Yard's proximity to EJ&E was seen as a plus. Conrail had served this yard, who was the owner of the former Pennsylvania Railroad Fort Wayne line that Clarke Street Yard ran adjacent to. It was said that Clarke Street Yard would allow for intermodal containers taken from eastern railroads, placed on EJ&E trains for interchange with western railroads, and never having to be moved by truck. Convincing the railroads to go along with this plan seemed to be the obstacle. Intermodal transportation was on the rise on levels never before seen in the Chicagoland area. Conrail operated 2 intermodal yards in Chicago, but both were overcrowded. Canadian National and Illinois Central were to build a jointly operated intermodal terminal in Harvey, Illinois, adjacent to the Illinois Central's Moyers Intermodal Terminal. EJ&E was privately owned by Transtar at the time and was seen as a prize because the other 2 regional belt railroads, Belt Railroad of Chicago and Indiana Harbor Belt, were already owned by other railroads. In 1996, the Union Pacific and Southern Pacific merger hadn't occurred yet, but it was in the making. It was expected that the merged UP system would purchase EJ&E, as that railroad was the only major railroad not affiliated with a regional belt line. You would think that Mayor Barnes' success with bringing lakefront gaming to Gary would be quite the achievement and would further lead credence to the intermodal plan. Not. By 1998, the plan was still being litigated by then Gary Mayor Scott King. Mayor King was still pushing the idea of an expanded transportation hub centered around the then renamed Gary Chicago Airport. King fought efforts by then Chicago Mayor Richard Daley to turn Peatone into Chicago's 3rd regional airport. King wanted Daley to shift some of Midway's cargo to Gary Airport, which would then turn the Gary Airport into a regional distribution center where air freight could be moved quickly by rail or truck via I-90. King offered that Gary would help pay for $30 million in infrastructure improvements to the airport, including lengthening 1 runway to 9,000 feet, rerouting rail lines, and upgrading airport facilities. This seems to be the genesis of the now completed Gary Chicago International Airport runway expansion plan. Well, Chicago's answer to that was its officials continue to sit on their hands, making no movement to implement this now 2-year-old attempt to revitalize Gary's economy. Outside of Chicago, the railroads also sat on their hands, refusing to say either way if they would support or not support Gary's efforts to construct an intermodal facility at Clarke Street Yard. In March of 1998, one of the region's worst blizzards hit, severely dampening Chicago's airport capacity to accept flights. These flights were diverted to Gary Chicago Airport, numbering 200 flights in 2 days. Semi-trailer trucks swamped the airport, delivering and taking freight. Gary got a small taste of what it would be like to operate a logistics hub during that 2-day period, and it's been thirsty to recreate that action ever since. In the next episode of ETA 5 Minutes, we will go over other intermodal plans. This is GI Rail Fan. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and visit my page on Facebook at Gary Railroad Blog. Thank you.